Hello everybody, it's time to play some Jund, no Boomer Zoomer Jund this time, but Company Jund. And we are playing very aggro version of Jund with mostly creatures, 4 collected company and 4 unearthed. You could see this build earlier. Lots of people tried to play Jund Company because Jund has so many very good creatures that cost 3 mana to play, and they're definitely very nice to get into play with collected company. Especially Grist plays really nice with company and with Unearth in your deck. I was actually wanting to try the new card Gigs. What is it called? Let me remember. It's called Gix Yagmoth Praetor. I wanted to play Gix in this deck as a 2 off, but I wasn't able to get the gigs yet. My rental service still doesn't approve it, and so I I tried the deck with the card. I think it should serve pretty good in this deck. Its deck is pretty aggressive, so it doesn't care for loss of life of confident. And I'm not sure if Gix or Confident would be better choice for this deck, but Confident served me really well in the matches I played. It's just that Gix has some advantage over Confident because there are lots of very aggressive matchups in the modern, and the confidant has to be sided out pretty often. But when it doesn't, it works very well in this kind of deck, which is much more aggressive than regular Junt. And we will just uh, go. I played 2 leagues with it, had very good results, and we will just watch my last league, which I finished 4-1. Lost very close game to Ragnar Scum, and it was really close to 5-0. And I really like the mana base. It's pretty clean. I also could see playing 2 Magus of the Moons instead of Dark Confidence in this deck, but I really like the rest of the deck. I think these 2 cards are kind of flex spots. I could see them being trying something new as the Gix Yagmoth Praetor, trying Magus of the Moon in the main, and maybe trying 2 Fulminator mages in the main, 2 on the sideboard, maybe even Turak in the main. Depending on your metagame, it's really these 2 cards, these 2 flex slots are really kind of a metagame call. I chose Dark Confidant for these few leagues I played. I was pretty good in games. It is good, and when it's bad, you just board it out, and it doesn't do almost any damage in the game one. So it's not good, obviously, to play it against. When your opponent is playing first and has Brennan 6 resolved. But Ragavan is also bad in that manner, but you can always dash it at least. It's not good to play it obviously against the Burn and some very aggressive decks similar to Burn, turn 3 decks, which finish the game turn 3 like very aggressive, like Proves that plays Lava Dart also, and stuff like that. Okay, so I think we absorbed the point of the deck. We are playing some really strong 3 drops, especially Lightning or Skelemental. Can finish games very fast by discarding 2 cards, hitting for 6 damage with Trample, and then just unearthing Skelemental 1 or 2 times can really finish the game really early, very early, as almost turn 3 sometimes. So we'll just go through the leagues. I got to say, I'm very satisfied with Scavenging Goose. This card has been incredible in the deck. It's definitely the most surprising card in this deck is Scavenging Ooze. It has been really great every time. It's great against Prowess. It's great against Burn. It's great against all aggro decks where you're trying to catch up and gain a little bit of life, then counterattack your opponent, chump few creatures with Pyromancer tokens, then attack them again, like good against opponents Ren and 6, good against Persist, all kinds of stuff, really just removing your opponent's Delirium and stuff like that. It just have been amazing, and I can't really play endurances, too much of endurance in the main here, as it's a 3 drop. I already have a lot of 3 drops and also 4 drops. I think I kind of need 8 2 drops in this deck at least. So I think this is the minimum of 2 drops I need to play. I tried to play Croxa in this deck. It was not good. It was kind of useless most of the time. I tried to play Renan 6. Renan 6 was decent, but it felt like I really want to play a creature. These 2 spots that are Dark Confidant, they can be 2 Renan 6. I think that's a decent uh, option. They can be Magus of the Moon, as I said. They can be the Gix. They can be the Endurance, a Fulminator, a Turak. There are very lot of options. Also Fury. All these cards from the sideboard could be in these 2 flex spots. I opted for a Dark Confidant. I really wanted to try playing this card again in Modern after many years because I haven't been able to test it anywhere. But it is actually decent in this version, so I decided for it. But as I explained, a really lot of options. Let's go to the gameplay. Okay. Okay. I like this version much more than, let's say, regular Junt in the current metagame because it really. I'm playing Ragavan here against Burn, turn 2, forces my opponent to go Rift Bolt on Ragavan. They have the Sea Spear, go 3 to the face, probably forgot to attack here. Then I play the Tarmogoyf to kind of block the Sea Spear. Successfully, of course. My opponent just goes for more burn to face. My opponent has only 1 card in hand. I decide to go for Skelemental, discard that 1 card, and leave my opponent in the top deck mode. They now have 0 cards in hand, 1 Sea Spear on the field, so they got to discard burn spell to beat me here. And I just play my Pyromancer to discard my Grist, grow my Goyf, play Hierarch to give it Exalted, and attack my opponent for lethal. That was nice pumping the Grist, nice pumping the Goyf for lethal damage. And that's it. So game 2 against my Burn opponent, I practically brought in a Fulminator Mage, I think 1 or 2, just because I had too many bad cards against Burn. So I was kind of Fulminator is not good in this matchup, but I just didn't have nothing else, and it sometimes can get rid of my opponent's white mana or black mana, preventing them from casting important spells. And of course, a Scavenging Goose is great. It's great here. My opponent, I was able to grow ooze, gain some life, put myself out of some crazy lethal damage, and just untap with ooze again, attack with everything, make them jump. I exile the Helix, kill their guide, and putting them really in the impossible position, just unearthing again the Scavenging Goose, and that was it. So That was game one against Burn with Black Splash. We'll see the defeat last game. It was against Ragdascam. It was a thrilling game where my opponent beat me with Scam the Fury, turn 4 or something like that. Killed like I had 10 creatures on the field, uh, mostly seasoned Pyromancer tokens. They just killed like crazy amount of my creatures. And game 2, my opponent was Mulligant. They were playing some weird Bushwhacker evolution deck where they're just trying to go Relier, Bushwhacker, just aggressively Neoform evolution to put those Bushwhackers on the field. So I just prepare my board state after discarding the 2 cards. I was pretty safe. They were in top deck mode, and I was able to play Ooze again, gain some life, chump their creatures, then attack them with Ooze, which grows over time, becomes a very good threat. So I just chump with Birds of Paradise, so I have more creatures in the graveyard to exile with Ooze, and then attack them again. I kill their last creature on the field, leaving them with 0 cards in hand in an impossible situation, and that was it. Okay, so uh, turn 2 Skelemental is obviously very good, immediately hitting for 7 with Exalted even, and then discarding 2 cards from my opponent's hand, which already mulliganed, leaving them in a pretty bad situation, in the situation where they were tapped to play their Mana Dork. Okay, playing a second game too. Playing my Ragavan means I can block the Bushwhacker or other creature with haste, which is really important here. So now I'm able to play my Goif, put it out of the bolt removal range, and just again play the use, start gaining life. And not in most cases the Tarmogoyfs in the current metagame are pretty huge. So I had Unearth in hand, that's why I decided to trade with those and then uh, use more of Ooze abilities to again gain some life, grow Ooze, put me in the safe position. I again traded with their creatures, and I was this Ooze just becomes very valuable in this kind of games against aggro matchups, where I can just raise my opponent by using mana to gain life from Ooze and use them as a blocker. It's just very good in these kind of situations. It's even better if you have more mana open or you're in the top deck mode, something like that. It just gets better, and I was really satisfied with how Wolves performed through these 2-3 leagues I played. Okay, so having Tarmogoyf in the Murktide matchup, it's sorry, it wasn't the Murktide matchup. They had Giganta, so it was something else. But I didn't have much options here. I went for Forest because I didn't know if they're playing Blood Moon. So I just went for Forest, but it turned out they're playing the Phoenix deck. Tarmogoyf is just great in these kind of matchups. Grows really fast when your opponent has the Channeler. Unfortunately, my opponent was very aggressive here, trying to attack me for 6 on their turn 3. They had the lethal here with Bolton, so I conceded. That was it. But this time I knew what I was playing against, and I was able to bring in some hate, some graveyard hate for my opponent, and also have better decision on which cards to keep in this matchup. My opponent don't kill the dork, so I'm able to immediately play the Pyromancer, get token, get another Pyro in hand, collected company, Goif, all very good cards. I drew into endurance and I was in no rush to play stuff, so I was expecting salvaging again, of course, trying to go to find the Phoenix, discard Phoenix or something. I didn't even have it, so but anyway, I just wanted to go for the endurance, get them off the delirium, and I had Hierarch on the field and the green mana, so I just was able to play my company, find Grist, attack my opponent, which just played Blood Moon and conceded at this point. I don't think Blood Moon is very good against this deck. I think I could very well play the Blood Moon, sorry, the Magus of the Moon in the main, but I would be have to be more careful with the fetching and the lands. Probably just slightly change the mana base. I was kind of afraid of the moon, but when I have the basic forest, it becomes pretty decent. Deck becomes pretty decent against moon. So I just went for it. Went for basic forest and succeeded to find the third land, which was very good in position where I had two endurances in the hand. My opponent goes for the attack, not having the greatest hand. I decided not to exile anything, so my Goif uh, stays bigger, and then I just played use, exile the Phoenix, gain some life, and my opponent concedes. That was the Phoenix matchup. In all these matchups, though this Scavenging Goose just always was kind of sorry. This is the sorry. I'm just replaying the same game. We already solved this. This is the one. Keeping a very decent hand, so I'm able to go Hierarch turn one, and even if my opponent kills the Hierarch, they still have to put some sorcery like ending in graveyard, which means I can go just Goif or even Confident. So this is the some Yeskai deck, which is not very aggressive, and Confident is just a great card in this kind of against these kind of decks. My opponent played some Yeskai control with Geist as their, I think is their, probably is their only win condition. So I go for the Tarmogoyf to be able to block the Geist, and Goyf has done a good job. Okay, I tried Unearth. Unfortunately, I went for Mountain here because I wasn't sure what exactly my opponent is playing, so I didn't have the double black to play the Confidant and Unearth in the same turn. But so I was able to attack with Goif in this position, and they just find another Geist just as another jumper. And I went for pre-combat collected company to find another Goif and Skelemental, which just ended the game on the spot. Okay, so very quick game one against Jeskai Control. Deck really is fun to play, and it's just very fun to draw these kind of hands when you're having multiple mana dorks, collected company, grist, scavenging goose, all such fun cards to play, and they just work really well. So just company into two lightning elementals, pretty brutal. Just to do the 12 damage and make them discard the 4 cards. Left with 3 life with only 1 card in hand. Pretty brutal. And now I'm able to play the Grist, make token, play Scavenging Goose, and my opponent concedes. That was it. So we'll watch last game against Ragdoskam. I was very close to winning, but they found Fury in a crucial moment. Okay, but games, I think games were fun. Okay, so started playing first. Had a decent hand, Goifaner, the Grist, Pyromancer, all good cards for this matchup. So I decided to go for the basic. What happened? What's happening? Something blocked. Hmm. Okay, I don't know what happened, but it's working. Unfortunately, it didn't draw my third land in this crucial turn. If I did, if I drew a third land here, I would be in a so much better position. I would be able to play either my Grist or Pyromancer. I attack first, then use the Unearth, play the Hierarch, bring back the Ragavan, and kind of in a decent position, but I could be in so much better position if I found that land before. So I was just forced into a lot of bad plays like Unearth on the Ragavan, Unearth on the Hierarch. Then my opponent just plays the Grief for 4. And finally I found the land. I'm able to play the company. It didn't work out well for me because if I just played the Skelemental, I would be in a much better position. I was hoping to find another Skelemental with the company, but instead I found two Pyromancer, was forced to discard the Skelemental and the Grist. Did find yet another Grist, but it wasn't good enough. And it was just a mistake that costed me probably the trophy on in this league. I just played Grist, played everything, attacked with the Pyromancer for 4, and unfortunately my opponent found Fury in this situation, which I could have been, which almost successfully got rid of with if I just played this Elemental that turn. If not for Fury, I would get rid of other spells from their hand, so they would be unable to ditch Fury and play Unearth spell, Undying spell, sorry. So after the Fury, it was pretty bad position for me, and nothing I could do. If I just play this Elemental on that turn, I'm pretty sure the game will be over, and I will be able to play the Grist next turn and save a collected company in hand, which will then finish the game few turns after. Uh, didn't succeed to connect the Ragavan there. My opponent Totsis, which leave me in a pretty bad position again. Just didn't again draw this Pyromancer on time, but it was fine still. I was able to just cycle Okay, so pretty brutal. Turn four, when this happens, turn four, Skelemental, two Skelementals of collected company. You can see that in most cases, people just concede to this. It's impossible to get out of this situation. So, collected company, turn three, turn four, into two. I keep mediocre hand on the six, but it was two playable cards against with four lands. It's kind of playable. It's not the end of the world to keep such a thing. And the game three, I did find some. I would find if I had the hierarchy, I would find this Elemental. I would be able to play it. I would be in a very good situation. My opponent was stuck on one land, so it was kind of okay position for me. I just had to find some solution for this grief, and I did have endurance here to block Ragavan, which was very good. But my opponent had a two-turn clock here. I just needed them to not have the removals. I did find the Pyromancer to discard these lands, try to find something else. Again, found Scavenging Goose, which is decent here, but my opponent had the removal for other creatures, so I wasn't able to block. So practically the Menace Grief just won the game. I had Ooze. Ooze was very good in this position if I was just able to survive. Another turn, I would probably get out of the lethal range of Grief and not be dead to another removal. But it did have it, so it was over. And it could have been a lot different if I just played differently that game one and played my Skelemental instead of the Coco. Okay, but anyways, this deck feels like probably the best way to play, uh, um, best way with the Saga version to play Junt at a time. I think I feel better playing this deck than any Boomer version of the Junt. I think Junt Saga is a cool deck at the moment and pretty grindy and can compete with the other mid-range decks in the format. But this one is just not in that category. It's much more aggressive with this Ragavan Hierarch provide the extra mana, and then Company or Skelemental on turn 3, 2, 3, 4, whatever, just make incredibly strong play against a lot of decks, and they can't deal with the Skelemental. And then after Unearthed Skelemental, they just have to have the Graveyard Hate. And if you're expecting Graveyard Hate, you can very easily play around it. It's not very effective. You can just trim a few Unearths, trim a few Goyves, and already the Graveyard Hate. It's not hurting you really that much. And that's it. I'm really liking the deck. I think it has large potential in the current meta game. These Fulminator mages, we couldn't see it in this league, any good examples, but Fulminator mages on the sideboard just does incredible job against decks, the big mana decks, and like Amulet Titan, uh, like uh, like Tron, but you can really slow down decks that need just a lot of mana to function. It can be very good against four color Omnat piles, even creativity decks, escape shift decks, stuff like that. Just really effective. You can with an earth in a deck and company, you can just destroy a huge amount of lands very quickly, and it's just a very good sideboard card for this deck. And I opted in not playing artifact enchantment hating creature. I think Force of Figure is just very good. When you're bringing it in, you have to remove at least one or two companies to just keep the creature number at the some level. But you can always board out few unearths, few companies, a few creatures, and you will easily find a place for it. Usually against like decks like Hammer, and like that I can board in four forces, two furies, leave out some unearths, confidence, collected companies, and be and to have a decent matchup because Skelemental is also can be very effective against them. When paired with the Force of Figure, it can really end the game quickly. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you like the deck. You can hit the subscribe button and like to support the channel, and that's it. Until the next time. Okay, bye.